You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Well, good evening, folks. Happy Monday. It's Monday, the 10th of May. Welcome to the show today. I'm your host, Scotty Roberts, as every night. And this is, of course, the Intrepid radio program. You can call it the Intrepid podcast. You can call it the Intrepid broadcast. You can call it whatever you want. We are, of course, affiliated with and normally are broadcasting via Odyssey Radio Network, and that's ODYSY1.com. Come on over and see all the goodness that is Odyssey Radio, and you will see, of course, the schedule over there, where you can find this show played several times throughout the day. And so go on over and check them out. And, of course, you're listening via my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And just click the little join button down below if you haven't already and you aren't a member of this channel. $2 a month, $5 a month, $15 a month will get you certain perks and memberships. And it, of course, will help this broadcast with all the different things we have to pay for. So I thank you already in advance for doing that, and welcome everybody who's here. Teresa, you were the first one in the room. You said it looks pretty lonely here. You know, that chat room starts to fill up prior to the show. Some nights it's really full and there's all kinds of chat going on. Other nights it's kind of like, hello? Anyone here? It gets really quiet, and then it fills up right away. So, Teresa, welcome to the show. Bright and early and bushy-tailed and all of that, or is it bushy-eyed and bright-tailed? And so, Doug Stack, welcome to the show tonight down there in north of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Good to see you, brother. Susie Q, glad to have you in here tonight. And who else we got coming in so far? Master Finn. Matt Finn, good to see you, brother. You call it home. Thank you, sir. So do I. Morgan Snow, nice to see you tonight. And glad to have you in here. And guys, I'm going to be talking about a topic that maybe some of us need to hear tonight. Maybe some of us don't need to hear it, or it doesn't apply. It's not applicable. It's a refresher for us all. So hopefully it will be something that either way you are going to enjoy. And we'll get there. Momentarily. There is my amazing, lovely, vivacious wife. How you doing, den leader?
I'm freezing cold.
Freezing cold. Come over and say hi, since I'm talking to you. Rainey just got home from doing her scout thing, where she is a den mother, and say, hello, den mother.
Den mothers and den fathers anymore. That's just like...
Yeah, that's right.
Den leaders.
Den leaders. She's wearing her scout shirt. You can see bum ba bum ba bum bum bum. Scout shirt. Nah, 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 nah. So she's a den mother.
Designed by Scotty.
Designed
Put together
by
by
Scotty.
the kids. Designed by Scotty.
Yeah, the kids all put that together. All the scouts. Here, move this way just a touch if you can. Only because then I can feel you brushing up against me. Well, you're wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So you look damn good in it, I might say, for a scout leader. So she's just come in from doing her scout gig, where she is a den mother and she's part of the parent committee, and she has to go to all the meetings and do all the junk and yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, yada,
So
yada.
I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Did you have a good time?
Sure. I
With
froze
the Boy
my butt
Scouts?
off. I was cold.
Yeah.
Flynn's bike, they said, is going to be more expensive to fix than to just go buy a new bike.
Oh, that figures. Yes. Flynn's young sister, Rowan, against his wishes and against permission, loaned out his bike to a friend, and they all went biking, and his bike got broken. So it is now apparently something in the back axle that got cremated. Can you tell? Did they tell you what they thought may have caused that?
No.
Okay. Looked to me like, it's got the little, whatever they call those, the pegs that stick out of the axle on the tire. And they were just broken apart. on the inside, and I saw parts inside that looked crushed. So I have no idea. So Johan Dancing Gypsy is here. Good to see you, Johan. And who else wandered in while I was talking? Ryan Gale, good to see you.
And hi, everybody that said hi to me. Hi!
Yeah. There's my lovely, beautiful wife, Rainey.
Okay, and I'm going to go take a hot shower because I'm freezing. So.
And I'm going to touch your butt. Go have fun.
Yeah, you too.
All right. I'll see you later.
Enjoy the show, people.
Enjoy the show, peoples. She almost said to me, enjoy your show, bitch. So that's my wife, though. Bye. Bye. I love you. So, there you go. Yeah. Younger sister Rowan is in a little bit of trouble. She got grounded today. And, you know, those of you who are parents and have kids, you understand how this stuff goes. And so, kids sometimes will get away with whatever they think they can get away with. One thing I noticed, Rainey and I were talking to somebody today, and I said, the one thing I noticed about having been gone for 3 months down in the makeshift studio and my makeshift life in Louisiana was that even though Rainey and I and the kids and I could talk every day, just like this, only they saw me on video. I could see them on video. We'd talk every day. It was like I wasn't here. It was like Rainey was the single mom. And she was playing the life of a single mom. I could be up there. I could be back home in a half a day if I needed to be. I could have hopped a plane and flown back home and been here if there were emergencies. And but as it was, I was parenting, daddying from 1,200 miles away. And that didn't always cut it. And my kids sometimes, I set them all down on the video one day. Let's say you're my kids, my 3 kids. And I'm looking at them and saying, hey, you guys, you need to do a better job at home. You need to respect your mom. You need to listen to your mom. Flynn, I told him, you are like the man of the house now. You need to step up and be that. You need to honor your mom. You need to help your mom. And all of you kids, you need to help your mom. This was, and this conversation went on many times because I would talk to Rainey while I was gone and our kids. Now, maybe, is it us? Is it our flaws in parenting? Or is it just the nature of kids? That kids are going to be, hey, one of the cat's away, so the mice can kind of half play. And hey, Barbie D, I just saw your greeting up there. Welcome into the show. Steve Clark, welcome into the show. Before I go any further, Steve Clark, I received this today. So I just want to say thank you very much, Steve. Oh, I hope that didn't just flash your address up there. Well, mine was up there, but who cares about mine? So Steve, that did, we just talked, Steve and I talked for about an hour or so yesterday. And I told you I'd let you know as soon as that arrived. That arrived today. And thank you very much. I appreciate that, brother. And so, anybody else wondering? Leslie, good to see you, Leslie. I'm glad you're here. And so when you have kids that find a loophole sometimes, they're going to take it. My kids took that loophole. I got back here, and I noticed it even when I was talking with them on the phone. I got back here, and my kids were mouthier. They were sowing their rebellious oats, you could say, at very young ages. And I know I would tell one of my kids, hey, I need you to go take care of this thing, your mess over there. I need you to clean that up. No, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, excuse me? Did I just hear you say, in response to me asking you to do something that, no, you don't feel like it? And generally that's enough motivation for them to correct their ways. And so, yeah, oats, says Susie Q. Ryan Gale, children are little psychopaths. Man, ain't that the truth? And so my daughter in taking Flynn's bike today, and you know what they do? they will try to justify things and they will try to find the loopholes. I was talking to my own mom, my 78-year-old mom, who raised me. And we were talking yesterday, Mother's Day. And I was saying, and I was telling her this story about my kids. And she said, she started kind of laughing. And you can all imagine what she said next. She goes, "Oh, the apple don't fall far from the tree, does it?" And she said, when she was raising me, she said, you had an answer for everything. She said, you had to justify everything. You could give me chapter and verse and go right down the line and tell me all the points of your argument of why you shouldn't have to do what I told you. And she said, that's why you got grounded so much. That's why she broke a broomstick on me once. She was so pissed off at me. She swung a broomstick at me and broke it on me. Now, I was a little older by that time. I was like 14 or 15. She broke the broomstick and I kind of chuckled and I said, "Now look what you did, Mom." I said, "Not only am I right," I said, "you're out of broomstick." Now, how well do you think that went over? Not very. She still had ways of controlling us and taking care of what needs to be done. So, but this is something I noticed since I've been home. And so we are going through a little learning curve, a relearning curve with the kids right now. You know what? This doesn't really fit in, but I had this box. We hadn't done this for ages. Remember this little box, these matchsticks? Spark Courage. This is what we call the 50 ways to be bold. And in here it's got these, the fake matchsticks, but there's something printed on each one of them. So as I was talking just now, I drew one of these out. And I thought, why don't we look at this tonight? It's been a long time. They may be repeats because I think we may have gone through them all. But this one says, take time for yourself, even if it means saying no to others. Now, that's different. My children they do not have the right to tell mom and dad no, unless we were doing something criminal or involving them in something untoward, which we don't do. That's just worth mentioning. Children and parents, children have a right to refuse things that are wrong things. And Leslie said she has a tough time with that one. Yeah, me too. I don't do the lipping off thing very well. And I saw yesterday at some point, Ellery, the 6-year-old, here's the interesting thing. The younger kids start picking up the behavior of the older kids. When Flynn acts badly, one of the things always in any discipline that might be is, and son, you know what? You're a role model, whether you like it or not, for your little sisters. They're going to learn from you how to talk to your mom. Now, Flynn rarely backtalks me. He backtalks his mom an awful lot. And so for as great a kid as he is, he does it. And so I tell him, you know what? Rowan is learning from you. And I say to Rowan, your little sister Ellery is learning from you. How to defy your mom, how to talk badly to your mom, how to talk badly to me. So, Robert, good to see you. There he is, Robert V. I knew you were there. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. And so yesterday, Ellery is just bugging, and my kids will relentlessly bug Rainey about doing things. They don't come to me and do that, but they will bug the hell out of her. And at one point, I'm sitting back here, I'm doing something else, and I hear this little arguing and bickering going back and forth between Rainey and the 6-year-old. And Ellery is going, and finally I saw Rainey flash across the hallway with her hand up, and she says, fine, you just go ahead and go and do whatever you want. And you know what I heard Ellery say? I saw her walk the other way, throwing her little pack over her shoulder, Barbie pack or whatever it is, and going, okay, bye. And I saw red. I went, wait a minute, I yelled out there. And I stood up and I walked out there. And I said, Ellery, you are going nowhere. And I said, put that pack down. I said, how dare you speak to your mom that way? And you know what I did? I reached for her. I was going to swat her on the butt as she was standing at the door on the way out. You know, the instantaneous, I'm going to get your attention real quick, little swat on the butt. She saw it coming and put up her hand. And I took her hand and I reached around to swat her butt. And she does the twisty game, already shrieking and crying like she's being tortured, kicking and falling on the floor. And I still got a hold of her hand. I finally let her go, and she sat down on the floor. And I said, stand up. And she didn't want to, no. She stood up, and I swatted her on the butt. And I said, there, now, up to your room. You get to go clean your room. No, she wasn't back talking me. She was crying. And I'm going to tell you something. A swat on the butt never hurt a kid. And so she got a swat on the butt. She went up to her room. She came down a little later. And of course, she's not looking at me. She's like, can't look at Dad. And I said, come here. I need to talk to you. I said, do you understand why you got a swat on the butt? Yes. And I said, can you explain it to me? I want to make sure you understand. She's like, I don't want to tell you. Which all that told me was she really didn't know. She wasn't putting the dots together. I think she knew, but she didn't. And I went through it with her. I said, because your mom said, you said this, and then you just brushed your mom off. And I said, that's disrespectful. Now, I said, the punishment's over. I said, but what you need to do now, you need to go walk over to your mom. You need to put your arms around her and tell her you are sorry for bad-mouthing her or back-talking her. And you need to make things right with your mom before anything else happens, which she did. And there were lots of hugs and kisses and all of that. And so there it is. I got to tell you, I've noticed this behavior in my kids since I was gone. And this is one of the things when I told you all when I was down in the makeshift studio in my makeshift life in Louisiana, I said, excuse me. I said, I hate this. I said, I hate living this way. I don't like being away from my wife. I don't like being away from my kids, and I don't care what pop culture tells you. I don't care what popular psychological shitty babble tells you. Kids need their parents. They need both of their parents. Now, sometimes it's necessary that a dad goes off and travels and does his work. And more nowadays, that can be women sometimes. It can be both parents. Rainey and I had the discussion. This wasn't at all what I was going to talk about tonight, but Rainey and I had the discussion a long time ago when Flynn was a baby. We said, she was like, so what do I do? Do I go back to work? Do I, it's all vogue now. You have a kid and you have the 12 weeks off and you got to go back to work. Sometimes it's a necessity. You're like, we can't sacrifice one half of our income. And so it's either moms or dads end up staying home with a kid, or they all have to go back to work. What happens to that child? That child goes to daycare. Now, I do not want to step on anybody's toes here. That's not the intent of what I'm going to say. And I may have said this before on topic, but I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes, even though it's a necessity for there to be some daycare in there, it might be a necessity to pay the bills, to keep the roof on your head, to keep the electricity on and food on the table. I get that. But in general, kids need their parents at home, need a parent at home. And they don't need to be raised. This is the way Rainey and I looked at it. 5 days a week. If Rainey worked 32 to 40 hours a week, plus travel time, dropping kids off, picking kids up, those kids were away from both of their parents for up to 40 to 45 hours a week during their waking hours. I'm not talking about you go take them somewhere and they get to sleep at somebody's house and they only miss you for a couple of hours. I'm talking about their 8 to 9 hours a day. Somebody else is raising your child. This is my opinion, guys. So you can take it or leave it. This is my opinion. If there's anybody here listening tonight and you go, oh, wait a minute, there's a whole nother argument. I appreciate that and I respect it and I understand it. But I'm going to tell you the way we came to a decision was who's going to stay at home with the kids? Are we going to put them in daycare? And now at the time when Flynn was born, I was working for myself. And so I was here all the time. My kids, I think Abby and Bryn and Sam, my 3 older kids, all benefited from the fact that I was always home and that their mom was always home for the most part. Then when I got sole custody of them, I worked at home and I was always there. And right now, Flynn, Rowan, and Ellery benefit from the fact that their mom is here with them and that I work out of the home and 99% of the time I am also here. They have both parents at home. Now the opposite is the way I view the world, which you may not, but the way I view the world is parents need to be around for their kids. Kids need at least one of those parents at home. You know who's a better mother? A man or a woman? Women make better mothers. Moms make better mothers than dads. I'm telling you that. It's not that a dad can't adapt, can't learn, can't do his part if he has to be the stay-at-home parent. We all know there are situations that are unavoidable. But for the most part, to me, it's not supposed to be a law. It's not a rule. It's not hard fast. It's not a... I think for the most part, the best situation for a child, if one of the parents works out of the home, is that the mom stays home and mothers the kids. And if it's the dad and that's the way it has to work, then it works that way. But I would encourage you, if you have children, daycare, you're leaving your children in the care of somebody else. The way I saw it and the way Rainey and I agreed on it, we're letting somebody else raise our child 8 hours a day at least, 5 days a week. And I didn't like that, and neither did Rainey. So, boom, there it is. Sorry about that. So this matchstick courage, it says one more time, take time for yourself, even if it means saying no to others. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes you need your own time. Right now, Rainey has been home for 3 months playing the single mom while I've been away. I've been like the boyfriend on the phone, you know, and I hated that. And I hated that for her. And she's still right now feeling the effects of being just overrun, overexhausted, no fuel left in the tanks. And because she was doing everything. And the kids took a little bit of advantage of that. Not because they're mean-spirited, but because they're damn kids. Kids are going to do that. Kids are dumb. And so Dad's home, and we're doing the re-education. Chest feeding and trans women falling pregnant while I transition. Mental issues are huge. Yeah, you're right about that, Amanda B. Welcome, by the way. Gaza Cav, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Mike Yehudi, good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. Good to see you in here. David Castle, nice to have you as well. Welcome to the show. And so there you go. Moms make better moms than dads, and dads make better dads than moms. Boom. I'm sorry. There it is. That's what I believe. I know some people who don't believe that at all. You know who's going to pay for that? Their kids. So there you go. Let's move on from that, because that was not tonight's topic, believe it or not. I don't know how I lapsed into that, but we did. Hey, before we get to the topic, I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about something I think almost everybody here has, and that's a relationship with somebody else. Either we're married or we're in a long-term relationship. Maybe some of us were married. Maybe some of this will be painful for some of you because you've lost somebody or the thing is gone and it's not there. Hopefully you can enjoy it. And those of you who have suffered loss and don't have the relationship anymore because it was not something you wanted, but something that happened to you, it would be nice to hear your wisdom too, to have you hear and to contribute into the chat room. So, and if you can't, I understand. I get that. And so, I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about simple habits of happy couples. It's kind of it's 4 simple habits that you can have. I want to talk about another list of 6 habits of genuinely happy couples. Don't just survive in your relationship, thrive in it. What makes it worth thriving for? Then I want to talk about 6 lies that can ruin your relationship. And but before we get into that, I wanted to hit this just because it was kind of fun to see. And we'll try to squeeze this in before the bottom of the hour, well, which is only 3 minutes away, but we'll squeeze it in. I had this article come up, 9 absolutely horrifying marriage tips from the 1950s. The 1950s. This is back even before I was born by a decade. So here's tip number 1. A smile goes a long way. Now, there might be some simple truth to that. But 1950 was wives were supposed to fake it till they make it. And if you ask me, a husband should have to earn a smile and love and respect from his wife. I don't think any wife should go out there and fake being happy with her husband. That comes because they build something together. So that was the pervasive philosophy in the 50s for marriage. Number 2, keep quiet. A wife was never supposed to challenge or question her husband. And she certainly shouldn't cause him any kind of aggravation because he just may go looking for love somewhere else. Imagine how that would fly today. Husband's aggravated enough by having to go to work. When he gets home, you make sure he's got his slippers and his pipe and his paper and his meal hot on the table. You keep quiet. Don't aggravate him. Another one. Now, by the way, these are all real things from the 50s. This one made me laugh. Number 3, women wear pink underwear. How many of you married women out there or women with significant others are pleasing your man by wearing pink underwear today? Not only were wives told to wear pink underwear, but they were supposed to be lacy and frilly ones as well. Look, honey, I've put on my lacy underwear, and I just want you to see that I'm wearing pink. And I wonder what kind of underwear husbands were supposed to wear back then. And did they all wear like white boxers or white boxers with blue stripes on them or something like that? So women were always to look attractive if you took their clothes off and saw their underwear, because this kept your men happy and at home. Teresa says, "Ooh, geez, guys." Something that was something else. Sorry. I see a lot of conversation there. Oh yeah, I had a good one for you. So my best friend, says Gaza, slept with my wife, and at the same time she was having an affair with a work colleague, which she ended up marrying and having 2 children with him. Holy crap, Gaza. Isn't that a mixed up thing? You know, Gaza, if it's any consolation, I also had a wife that slept around. And that wife was the one that gave me my 3 kids. And there was... we could share war stories, brother. Not that should be the going concern of our conversations, but I understand what you're doing. My wife, I went away for a weekend that she was supposed to come on with me for a little trip to visit friends. I came back and everything was gone. The house was empty. And it took a couple of months to figure out that she was with somebody else. So, blah, blah, blah. On that goes. So, I'm glad you got a good woman now. And I know I do. So, all right. Rule number 4 from the 1950s. Don't let the kids be too much trouble. Kids are going to be kids, and except when dad's around. And it was the wife's job to keep them well behaved. But women today know that parenting is supposed to be a shared responsibility. Boom. I hope that doesn't sound contradictory to anything I said before. It's because it's not. Women and men are responsible for raising their kids. And you know what? There's not a worse blight on manhood than absentee dads. We can talk about that till I'm blue in the face one day. I will tell you something. When I was a young man, when my now ex-wife was pregnant with my twins, Abby and Bryn, I made a vow. To God. I said, I vow I will never, ever be an absentee father or dad. So there you go. I'm trying to live up to that vow the best I can. Number 5 from the 1950s. Expert cooking will keep your man loyal. Expert cooking. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Remember that old phrase? We used to say in sword class when we were doing swords, the way to a man's heart is through his chest. And we had a t-shirt that showed a drawing of a guy from the 1500s, of a guy running another guy through with his sword through the chest. So, worried your husband will leave you? Just cook better. So, be a good cook. And that's going to keep your man at home. Because then he won't go out looking for some other woman to cook his beef stew and potatoes. So, I always say 2 ways to a man's heart. Says Matt Finn. Ryan Gale says that's the cause of obesity epidemic in this country. Boom. Leslie said, I found that one to be true. A man loves a good home-cooked meal. I do too. But you know what happens to me? I'm sitting in, yesterday, I was sitting on the sofa and Rainey's in the kitchen cooking something. And I'm like, I feel guilty. I'm like, I need to do something. And I said, Rainey, from my prone position on the sofa, watching something, do you need me to come out there and help you with something? I mean, it was sincere, but it probably didn't come across sincere. And she goes, no, I'm okay. I got it. I go, no, sincerely. And I sat up. I said, I'll come out and help. What can I do? She says, nothing. You'll ruin it. I'll do it. And so we take turns cooking sometimes. She cooks a hell of a lot more than I do. Not for any reason, not because it's prescribed, and I believe she as the wife should be doing this. It's just that she ends up cooking a lot more than I do. So anyway, and we cook fast. That's the problem around here. If I had things my way, our kitchen isn't quite set up for this, and you don't really need a glorious setup, but I'd love to have a big island with the sink in the island and all of that, and the stove on the other end of the island. I'd love to do like a cooking show. I'd have mirrors and cameras up overhead, watching how we prepare meals. I'd love to cook. I love cooking, and I'd cook for my wife every night if I had the time to do that, and she'd cook for me every night if she had the time. Right now, it's like cooking. Boy, that smells good. What is that? It's minute rice with some ground hamburger browned and put in there, and I put some seasonings in there, and and we'll put a little sauce over it, either a white sauce or something. I'm like, boy. And I never try to insult my wife's cooking. If she's taking the time to do it, I'm happy she's doing it. I'm never like, I'm your man, you better be over here feeding me something, make me some food, woman. And you better be wearing that pink underwear while you're doing it. Whew. So number 6, put as much care into your appearance as you put into dinner. That's actual advice from the 50s. And as if raising the kids and cooking the meals weren't enough, a wife should, of course, look impeccable. Remember Mrs. Beaver? Mrs. Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver? I don't know how many of you saw that show. I saw that in the 60s when I was growing up. She always had on a dress, nice dress, and a pearl necklace, and her hair was always done, and an apron, So put as much care into your appearance. Damn it, you better be raising those kids at home, and you better be cooking a hot meal and have it on the stove every day, and you better look damn good doing it with your pink frilly underwear on. Advice is golden, says Amanda B. You should see the asylum checklist from that time. Oh, I'll bet. Leslie said, my mama always says, at least comb your hair and put on some lipstick, and you'll always feel pretty. And I found that to be true. That always worked for me, Leslie. No, not really. I stopped wearing lipstick when I couldn't afford to buy the matching heels. Seriously, though, sometimes Rainey will be out there cooking, and Rainey's wearing a frumpy pair of sweatpants and a hoodie, and she hasn't done anything with her hair. It's kind of pushed back, and there's the big clumps hanging down and all of that, and, she hasn't showered or anything. She's out there cooking. And I'm like, hey, how you doing today? And she's like, I didn't sleep well last night. I said, what are you cooking for? Kids need breakfast. I said, I can cook breakfast. Just tell me I can cook. Now you're doing your stuff. You're okay. I'm okay. But then there are days where Rainey's out there and she's cooking. And I got to tell you, there are some mornings where Rainey gets up. She's wearing the little string tank top. No pink frilly underwear beneath, and a pair of boxers or something. And she got a big braid in her hair or something, and she's out there cooking. I'm like, ooh, daddy likes some eggs, please. It's just, and there are some days, and so we all know what that's like. We all know how it works. So let's see if I can finish this. Oops, I got a little feedback. Sorry. Let's see if I can finish this list. So put as much care into your appearance as you do into dinner. 7, don't be too sexual or be too much of a prude. A wife's sexuality was a delicate balancing act in the 50s. Today's women are pretty free to express themselves over there. If my wife feels sexual, I'm like, go for it. Bam, do it. If she's a prude, I beg. So my wife is not a prude. And I'm all just fine with that. I'm happy with that. I couldn't imagine living under these rules back then. Number 8, don't be mad if your husband goes astray. Of course, if her husband did cheat, a wife was supposed to be forgiving. After all, every other marriage rule seemed to imply that it was all her fault in the first place for driving him into the arms of some other woman who wore pink frilly underwear and probably cooked with red lipstick on. Talk about misplaced blame. Imagine, though, in the same time period, in the 1950s, if a man found out his woman strayed. Totally different, hypocritical story. All right? Just do it, said Leslie. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you were talking to me, but duh, never beg, bruh. No, I never beg. I can be persistent sometimes, but I don't beg. I'm like, please, may I touch your boobs? I don't do that. I just touch them, and and I apologize if I need to. It's like, hi, good morning. Oh man, whew. My wife did I tell you this? This was yesterday. I don't think I told you. She came out. Remember yesterday, Sunday, Rainey was here about a whole 3 minutes, cumulative between two times she came in. Kids were driving her nuts. She was tired out. She didn't want to be here. And I'm like, don't, just go then. Go do something. And if you don't feel like it, you don't have to be here. And she came out in the afternoon, and she kind of perked up a bit. And I'm standing outside on the patio, and she walks out. Oh, I'm talking to my mom on the phone for Mother's Day. And Rainey walks out onto the patio, and she's carrying a bra. And in that bra, she's got a ball about this big. And this is these, have you seen these kind of balls? They're kind of rubbery, and they feel like they're made out of sticky material, but they're not sticky. They don't leave a residue. They just feel that way. And they kind of squishy. And she had one of those, and she dumped it on one side of the bra, and she said, "Look, this ball's the same size as my boob." That's all she said to me. She walked out, she goes, "Look at this." And I'm like, "Whoa." And I said, "Let me see." And I, of course, had to touch it and, squeeze it a little bit. And I go, "You're about right." So I said, "Now you just need another one of those." She goes, "Yeah, if I get 2 of these and give them to you in a bra, will you leave me alone some days?" I go, "Sure." So there you go. Sometimes you got to take it, says Matt Finn. That's right, brother. Dryer balls. I don't know what you call those. They weren't dryer balls. They're kids' play balls. They got little nubs on them, but it was like squishy and big, and but retains its shape, just like a boob. So don't be mad if he goes astray. Now, number 9, the last one. Remember that the man is in charge. Women, the man is in charge, according to 1950s. Last but not least, it was vital for both members of the marriage to recognize that the man ruled his house. So if you ask me, there's plenty more houses today where women are running the show. So while these marriage tips from the 1950s might seem a little horrifying, something tells me the women of today would have a great big laugh if they were given these pieces of advice by an expert. That was, by the way, that was expert advice in the 1950s. So there you go. So we're going to get out of that. That too. You know what I'm going to do after that? Let's do a little. What do they call that gelatin that you eat in between courses at fine restaurants? A little. Oh, for Pete's sake, I can't think of what it's called now. But something that you take to wash your taste buds off. Let's do that. Let's go out for about a minute and a half here. And I'm going to play this little shameless self-promotion. And you guys sit there for about a minute and a half. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Sorbet. I might be thinking of sorbet, but that's more like an ice cream. Anyway, welcome back to the second part of the show, folks. And we took a break a little later than I would normally plan it. But here we are. We're back. I'm Scotty Roberts. You're listening to the Intrepid radio program here on the Odyssey Radio Network and on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And Odyssey Radio is ODYSY1.com. Go over, check it out. And folks, if you are not a member of this channel, my channel here on YouTube, I invite you to become a member. If you click on the little join button down below, you are going to see a little menu will pop up, and you've got 3 ways that you can become a member of this show. And it's for either $2, $5, or $15 a month. And you can go read through it and see what you get for doing that. And I would appreciate it. And so thank you. Become a member. All right, guys, let's get into some more meaty fare. And I didn't have my wife cook this one up for us, but this is a little meatier. And let's get into some things. What makes are you living in a happy relationship? Do you feel happy there? Some of you I know probably are. And some of us are striving for that. Well, thank you, Johan, by the way. I hate promotions, too. That is my wife, my queen. So I love the way she did that. And so, Teresa, thank you. That just popped up. Thank you, Teresa. Oh, and let me say again, Steve, if you weren't in the room when I started this, I got a little something from Steve this week in the mail. It came just today. And I want to say thank you, Steve. We'll talk more later, brother. And something to help out the show and put in the coffers. And I appreciate that, brother. Thank you again, Teresa. So, guys, what makes you happy in a relationship? Rainey and I were just talking about that with somebody today. What makes you happy? We all know and can identify the things that make us unhappy in a relationship. I'll bet you it comes easier to you than the things that make you happy. Rainey and I were in counseling once a long time ago. We were asked, Rainey, what would be 3 things you can name that would make a happy marriage for you? And she asked me the same question, the counselor. And Rainey said basically, that we have some financial stability, that we spend time together. And the answers were the things you might expect. I don't remember the exact 3. And mine were, I was asked, well, Scotty, what about you? And I said, I can't, my answers aren't much different. I said, financial security. And that doesn't mean you never struggle with anything. It just means, you're stable. And I said, I want us to, my biggest thing, I said, I want us to be happy. I want us to be happy together so that if you have storms that come along, or you have little problems that come along, the daily things, the frustrations, that we love and respect and appreciate each other enough to say we're happy where we are and we will make life work. Because the happiness takes over the other stuff. It doesn't mean you'll never be disappointed. It doesn't mean you'll never have frustrations or unhappy moments. It means that the happiness comes because it's something you build for and you rely on each other to be happy. And it's not that your happiness lies in somebody else's hands. It's that you do this together. There's togetherness. So what are 6 habits of a genuinely happy couple? This is about not just surviving in your relationship, but thriving in your relationship. And guys, you can apply this across the board to marriage, to significant others, to long-established relationships. So I want you to think about this. Healthy relationship functioning is not a mystery. It's defined by well-directed effort on the parts of the participants in the relationship. If you've got one person in the relationship pushing for relationship happy functioning and the other one not, you know what? It's not going to be happy. So you both have to work for that. And there's little changes can build the day-to-day habits that define happy relationships. And the relationships are dynamic. They can change without effort. And so romantic relationships require nurturing. But how do you best nurture an existing relationship? How do you do it? What's the way to do it? Amanda says, buy awesome seafood. That'll work for me. And a fishing trip up north, Cape York. Boom, done. There it is. That's a thing. What do you do when you don't have the fishing trip? I'm not asking you to answer that, Amanda B. I'm saying we all have our things that we say, man, these are the things that would do it for me. What do you do when those things aren't there? How do you make it work? Part of the problem is that over time, every relationship develops patterns. There's patterns in behavior, patterns in emotions, patterns in what we expect from our partners and from ourselves. And these patterns define our everyday interactions with each other. And they might be healthy enough to keep a relationship going, but if you're looking for a relationship to thrive and be amazing, not just survive and kept going, then pointed efforts to enhance your relationship patterns could be exactly what you need. Now, I've got some ways, 6 ways here to help your relationship thrive, not just survive. Now, relationship scientists strive to identify all these patterns that predict healthy relationship functioning. Evidence suggests it's worth your time to consider adopting or doubling down your effort to do these 6 things. Now, here we go. Listen to this. Matt says fulfilling your partner's needs. That's always a good start. Yeah, it is. It is, Matt. Talk about not taking for granted, says Ryan Gale. Boom. That's very important. Johan says, you can do it, Scotty. I can. I'll do it. I'll do my best. Here they are. 1, practice responsiveness. What's responsiveness? I'm sorry, I did not bring a drink in here with me. My throat's very dry. I've talked myself into a dry throat tonight, so pardon me. So responsiveness helps alleviate the potential adverse effects of stress in relationships. Now, we know every relationship can suffer in the face of one or both partners' work stress, family stress, any other kind of potentially toxic threat from external forces to the relationship. And so when people practice responsiveness, they're giving full attention to their partner. They're really listening. They're expressing care and concern. And this gesture goes a long way in protecting relationship, including from the stressors that are tied to work-related, the pandemic, being at home, everything like that. So children, exhaustion, striving all the time. So that's what you do. You're responsive. Now, sometimes as a guy, what do I like to do? Guys, this is the way we're wired. We talked about this last week or the week before. Guys, we like to solve our wives' problems. That's not responsiveness. Sometimes it's in our purview and our wife is asking, will you resolve this problem for me? Will you help fix this? Other times they just want to hear it. They want to be heard, and they want us to hear them and shut up and listen. That's a tough one for me because I'm always like, well, I know what to do about that, sweetheart. And many times I just get like, she's like, you're not getting it. I'm just leaving the room now. And that was Rainey, if you didn't recognize the voice pattern. So responsiveness, to be responsive, to listen, to be there, to react and respond, not react, respond to what the other person needs. Number 2, make your phone an asset, not a liability. Now, if you've heard of technoference, that's technology plus interference put together. Technoference. You're probably familiar with the idea that phones can be problematic in relationships, especially nowadays, because now all of us have this little computer that we carry around with us. You know, I've got this. This is my little computer, and I carry it around with me everywhere, and that's my lovely wife there. So we carry this around. We can be interrupted. We can be in a deep conversation with our wife, and that phone will ring. You kind of go, oh, I don't have to take that right now. Don't even look at it. Put it away. You've got texts to read. You got social media sites to check. You got online shopping to do. But when people are distracted by their phones to the point where they're ignoring their partners, relationships' well-being can suffer. And this partner Fubbing, that's phone plus snubbing, by the way. I love these words. Fubbing is now well documented thing with couples. But did you know that phones can be used to improve relationships too? Sending positive text messages can boost relationships, relationship satisfaction. And it can also, support the upward growth. I could take my phone right here. I go, hey, Rainey, hey, click, flash. Look at that. Hey, improving the relationship. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Dick pics doesn't always improve the relationship unless, it works for a time. I don't know. Boob shots always work for guys. So, but I'm making light. I'm talking about relationships and how we deal with our relationships, how we act in our relationships. If my wife's talking to me, when my wife and I go out to dinner, the last thing is getting on our phones. We put those phones away. I don't like it. When we were down in Louisiana, Sam and I, we would go meet with the Mexicans and we'd have dinner with them and stuff. And they'd set up a big spread and we'd all be sitting around talking and drinking. And somebody would invariably, one of the non-Mexican guys would take his phone and he would start texting or something or looking up stuff. And they had a basket in the Mexican's camper. And they passed the basket. Everybody put your phone in the basket. And he says, that's what we do with our family. And that's what you have to do. So I think we should do that with our wives and our husbands as well. Number 3, how to really promote a happy, genuinely happy, thriving, happy relationship. Foster psychological flexibility. Foster your psychological flexibility. Now, it's easy to rigidly want what you want and make demands. I want this, damn it, and I will take a stand. But research suggests that couples and families do a hell of a lot better when people practice psychological flexibility. That's being open and aware, considering the context of things, keeping perspective, all go to a long, long way in reducing negativity and not escalating any problems. And fortunately, psychological flexibility can be developed with proper work and working at it. And so tomorrow we might talk about that a little bit, this whole psychological flexibility. So getting back to this now, let's go to number 4 on this list of 6. Get to know each other in a new way. This promotes happiness. Matt Finn says, my wife has a phone addiction. Bothers me, but I'm not sure how to fix that. I think you both, Matt, maybe a good thing is you both agreed, hey, when we're together, we're talking, let's just put our phones away. Let's shut them off for a little while. Just try that. So, Leslie, human beings, male or female, do not respond well to demands. That's very true. So you got to be psychologically flexible. So Scott Allen, hey Scott Allen, how you doing? Yeah, psychological flexibility. I dig it, says Scott Allen. Boom, brother. Tomorrow, why don't we talk about that tomorrow on tomorrow's show? We'll talk about psychological flexibility. So, number 4 on this list of how to thrive and make your relationship happy. Number 4, get to know each other in a new way. When was the last time you and your partner, your husband, your wife, your significant other, talked to one another about, okay, get this, I'm asking you sincerely, when is the last time you talked to each other about your fears, your joys, your memories, or your hopes? When chatting about casual topics or day-to-day plans becomes routine, consider introducing an intimacy builder through conversation. You might be sitting and talking about the bills. You might be sitting and talking about things that happen at work, the traffic. I hate people that drive like that. Whatever it might be. Why don't you introduce a new topic? Hey, honey, where do you want to be What's your goal? I asked Rainey just the other day. I said, I know a lot of the things you want to accomplish. You've mentioned a bunches of things. I said, if we had the ability to do the one thing you really want, what's your goal? What do you want it to be? And we got to talking about stuff, and it was kind of fun. Talking about, well, here's what I do, and here's what I do, and here's how we do it. And so, you find ways to do things that, to talk about things that introduce something new. Now, there was a classic study that showed that couples who engage in self-disclosing conversation, SDCs, self-disclosing conversations, experience this increase in feelings of closeness relative to those who engage in small talk, and perhaps fall in love all over again by asking each other intimate questions, engaging in authentic self-disclosure, self-disclosing conversations, and responsively attending to each other's responses. Going back to that first one, responsiveness. Be responsive to the things you talk about, the things you're learning. Could you imagine? Are you in a relationship where you love each other? You don't anticipate that either one's going to go anywhere. You're building a family life and so on. What do you do when life becomes the mundane? And you sit back one day and you realize, wow, talking about intimate things with my partner seems kind of weird. And when it seems kind of weird, you know why it seems weird? Because you don't do it enough. It's out of the ordinary for your relationship. So how do you make your relationship thrive? Think of those things. That's why I asked Rainey the other day. I wanted to know. I really wanted to know, what are your goals? What do you really want to see? Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Talk about the goals like that. Where do you really want to go? Let's go take a trip. What do you want to go do? Now, my twin daughters who came up here and visited a couple of weeks ago, the week before I got back, and they surprised, the kids didn't know about this yet, but I've told you all, they're taking us all to Disney World in September. They've already bought the airfare. My twin daughters did. They bought the airfare. They've got the hotel, the Wilderness Hotel at Disney World. We're staying there for a week. And this is one of their favorite places to go. They go there 2-3 times a year. And they take their own employees sometimes. They take everybody that's employed by them. They've only got about 6 people, but they take them all to Disney World like this. But they're doing it for the family, for the kids. And they came up and they surprised the kids with stuff and all of that. And so while they were here, Bryn, my one of my twin daughters, is married to Zach, who owns the tattoo shop. Very upscale. I've talked about him before. Seventh Sin Tattoo in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so they were talking to Rainey, and Rainey wants she and I to take a trip and go out and get tattoos. They don't have to be matching like, ooh, his and her tattoos. Nothing like that, but go out and get tattoos at Zach's shop. Just take a weekend for herself, or a long, 4 or 5 days on our own. Give the kids to grandma. We might do that in June. Then she goes to Alaska in July. Then in September, we're going to Disney World. So, and by the way, she's going to Alaska to visit her sister. She needs the break. She said, should I go for 7 or 10 days? I said, 10. Take the 10. I know you'll miss the kids right away, but you know what? You need the break. Kids and I'll do fine. Take the break. And so the other day she was looking through airfare and trying to find the cheapest way to fly. I said, it's a little scary trying to find the cheapest way to fly. So we're looking through trying to find her something that works. So anyway, all of that to say, get to know each other in a new way. That's number 4. Fall in love all over again. Could you imagine that? How do you feel about their part? Let me sit on that for a topic for a minute. About falling in love all over again with the person that you fell in love with and got married to. Or the person you've chosen to. I hate to be putting caveats on. The caveats only come because of our society and the way we think nowadays. But How would you feel about about falling in love with that other person all over again? Fresh and new, you know? And we like to joke and say, Rainey says, well, my boobs hang a little lower. And I'm like, well, my balls now hang down to my knees. You talk about stuff like that. It's not literally, but, and we've talked about this. I talk about this when I joke about it. My wife's boobs are glorious. They're amazing. I don't think they sag at all. Every now and then I'll bump a nut on a kneecap, but, that's because I'm 60 years old. But all of that aside, can you fall in love with the same person all over again? I'm making light of it by saying that. But can we make light of that? Can we fall in love with the same person all over again? Hell yeah, we can. You're growing older together, doing stuff. Number 5, reminisce about the funny times. What, Doug? In the what? What's terlit? Terlit. I don't know what that is. Steve says, my Gene and I used to tease each other about something in public. I like, does your husband know where you are? And she responds, does your wife know where you are? And then we laugh at the reaction of each other. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Steve. Your husband know you're seeing me? So when you have open discussions about digestive issues, yep, you're growing old together. Ain't that true, Matt Finn? Leslie says, yes, every time my husband and I take a road trip, it's like falling in love all over again. We shut off the radio and we talk. Matt Finn says, toilet, bruh, with a southern Oh, I see what that was. Now I get it. Your balls get washed in the toilet water. The toilet water, says Doug. No, they're not that bad. Well, it depends on the level of the water in the toilet, I suppose. Maybe if I was like Rocky and I got a bidet, but which I'd love to have, by the way. So I'm older now. So I like being clean. So there you go. Reminisce about the funny times is number 5. Not every day is an exciting day in the life of a relationship, but we do have memories that we can call up at any time. How many of you, Leslie, I'll bet you have a ton of memories. You're that kind of person. I hear all the time the things that you do. All of us in this room tonight, we all have memories. We all have things that we've built. How much do those memories enliven who you are? You make memories, and now you've got time to make new ones too. We can do that even when there's stress, even when there's kids, all the stuff going. We got time to do that. But do we have memories we can call up, no matter what the circumstances? Research has suggested that couples who spend time reminiscing about laughing together reported higher relationship satisfaction than those couples who reminisced about other memories. So dig through the memory archive in your brain. When your relationship needs a boost, share a conversation about times that you had laughing and doing things. Number 6, feel and express gratitude. Relationships are built on small behaviors, guys. Gratitude is a wonderful example of a small but incredibly powerful behavior. And it's a behavior that can make a positive difference in your relationships. To feel gratitude requires noticing what your partner does for you, for your family, for your relationship. And it's an other-oriented emotion. So when people express gratitude to their partners, it produces literally this cascade of positive outcomes. Their partners feel more connected with them. They feel more satisfied in that relationship. And gratitude increases their work to improve the relationship. You know, I don't know if you've noticed this with Rainey and I. When she is here, I love to express to her my gratitude for her. I love to build her up, to praise what she does. And it's not just platitudes. It's not just saying things to try to score points. See, I got another one up there on the scoreboard. No, it's genuine. And I want her to know. And she doesn't always know how to receive it. She's like, yeah, whatever. She'll do that to me now. But it's the goofy thing that tells the tale. If I say to Rennie, wow, you know what? I said, do you know how much I appreciate what you do around here? How much I wish I could do more for you to show it? And she's like, whatever. She does that face, whatever. Yeah, right. Whatever. And so, there's that song. Oh, God. I wish I had it up in front of me. It's a Stan Rogers song. And it's something that I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but and it's a great song. Let's see, that's live. That's not where I want to go. I just want to see the words. He said, now he sang this song, and this song is from way back in the 70s. And he said, this one's for my wife. And this just came to my mind. This isn't about expressing gratitude. This is about him talking about his wife. And welcome, Michelle Canham-Free. Good to see you. And he says, where the earth shows its bones of wind-broken stone, and the sea and the sky are one, I'm caught out of time, my blood sings with wine, and I'm running naked in the sun. There's God in the trees, I'm weak in the knees, and the sky's a painful blue. I'd like to look around, but honey, all I see is you. And he says in verse 2, the summer city lights will soften the night till you think that the air is clear. I'm sitting with friends where 45 cents will buy you another glass of beer. You can tell it's the 70s. He's got something to say, but I'm so far away that I don't know who I'm talking to, because you just walked in the door and, honey, all I see is you. And the chorus is, I just want to hold you closer than I've ever held anyone before. I can't even sing it. You know me, I'm a sap. I just want to hold you closer than I've ever held anyone before. You say you've been twice a wife and you're through with life. Ah, but honey, what the hell's it for? After 23 years, you think I could find a way to let you know somehow that I want to see your smiling face 45 years from now. And that's his song. Simple little song. And he says, so alone in the lights, on a stage every night, I've been reaching out to find a friend who knows all the words, sings so she's heard, and knows how all the stories end. Maybe after the show, she'll ask me to go home with her for a drink or two. Now her smile lights her eyes, but honey, all I see is you. And I just want to hold you closer than I've ever held anyone before. You say you've been twice a wife and you're through with life. How about, honey, what the hell's it for? After 23 years, you'd think I could find a way to let you know somehow that I want to see your smiling face 45 years from now. I mean, what a great song. He wrote that for his wife. And that's the way, genuinely, I think about Rainey. Think about that. And I say, we've been together for 16 years. And I just want to say, after 16 years, I wish I could learn a way to show you somehow that I want to see your smiling face 45 years from now. And, I'm 60 and I predicted that I'll live to 104. That's my prediction. So it'll be maybe 44 years from now. So there you go. All right, folks. That's all I know. Hey, Steph, good to see you. Glad you were here. You said you were listening. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're feeling good. And everybody, I want to thank you for being here tonight. These are the 6 things that you can do to help your relationship be happier, I think. So, there you go. I got nothing else for tonight. We're overtime, as usual. It's 10:15. I want to thank you for taking your time to give it to me, to be here, and to participate over in that chat room. And so we'll be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about some more of this kind of stuff because some stuff came up tonight I want us to look at. And what was it? It's the, where did I put it? Oh, I don't know where I put it. I put something up. Oh, well, we'll get to it tomorrow night. And so I want to thank you for being here. We're going to take a 23-hour break, and we'll be right back here. So you guys sit tight and remember, live long and prosper. Good night.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.